days they hadn't come, and you understand?
And I got no idea what in the hell you're talking about.
I'm saying if I'd had a Mr. Markham by my side back then, I'd have jumped on it fast as a bullet. We're offering you an opportunity. Tuck in with us. You say yes. We'll always be watching your back.
I don't need anybody watching my back. Least of all you.
That fire in your belly. What I do most, girl. Be careful. Lest it burn your brain so you can't hear good reason.
So I find it interesting, and I think it's a cool little parallel that they drew here, right? We know, and we've talked about this on the show before, where Raylan has a soft spot for Loretta because he sees some of himself in her, in the way she's been brought up and her life coming up as a kid in Harlan. He sees himself a little bit in her, and it's sort of kind of how he felt about Kendall Crowe at the same time, right? He has a soft spot for him. And then we hear from Boon, and Boon also sees himself in Loretta, which is why he has a fondness for Loretta that he acts on a little bit differently than Raylan does, of course. But but it's a neat little sort of parallel that we've drawn here, is everybody is sort of reliving their childhood through Loretta, much to Loretta's detriment.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that he, well, that's the formate, like that's what makes you who you are, right? When you're growing up, what's imprinted in what memories you have. So yeah, it's very interesting.
I think it's very clever for the writers to sort of do that and make it so that Boon is creepy and a horrible sociopath, murderer. Likely pedophile murderer, but also has a soft spot for her because of his upbringing and how he was raised. So, there's a sort of objective perspective, right, on that you look at and you go, oh, that's interesting. Maybe he's a terrible person now, but maybe if things were different, he could be more like Loretta. Yeah. I love this scene. I love the scene that comes up next, which is, there's a scene, almost a blow off scene with Raylan and Tim and the mine. The only thing that I like about that scene, and it's our Kentucky Fried Wisdom moment of the week.
Say, boy, you cover about as much as a flapper skirt in a high wind. Pay attention, boy. Look at me when I'm talking to you, son. Look, sister, is any of this filtering through that little blue bonnet of yours? Pay attention, son. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
The one thing I like about that scene is that Tim gets the line, I've been to Mordor, but not through the mines, which is a Lord of the Rings reference that is entirely lost on Raylan, of course. Because Tim can't take anything seriously. I have a little bit in common with Tim. In some of those situations, but so Tim's never been down a mine. They're getting ready to go down the mine when they see the aid station and decide to go investigate that instead. But we get that little quip from Tim that he's been to Mordor, but not through the mines. And let me tell you, based on where Tim has been, he probably has been to Mordor, no doubt.
Yeah.
So
work in that Lord of the Rings reference.
Yeah. But the scene that I really enjoy is the Carl and Earl telling their war story in prison. They're reliving their armored car robbery bust and trying to figure out what happened. And Carl gets pissed at Earl for jumping on his story. I'm the one telling it. And it's so great because there's at the same time there's a you can see there's a stenciled painted sign on the wall that says all interactions are subject to video and audio recording. And these guys are admitting their crimes just in front of everyone.
Well, they're talking to that the big white guy, who knows what that guy was in jail for, right? But I think it's like one of those things where they're trying to, tell the story to kind of impress the guy.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. What are you in for? Oh, let me tell you what happened to me. This is a great moment where he's like, it's like that old saying. And Earl goes, crime doesn't pay. No honor among thieves. Oh God, that's funny. It's I like the Carl and Earl shtick, and I'm sorry that we aren't going to get more of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So while they're having that conversation, the dirty cops come in and clean out the cell and bring in Markham and Boon, who essentially make a proposal. And Markham tells Carl that, hey, Boyd betrayed you. He used you guys as pawns, and while you were distracting everybody else, he kidnapped my fiance and used that to get the $10 million. And he cut you guys out of it and served you up to the marshals. And Carl slowly sort of dawns on him that, oh shit, that's exactly what happened. And he says, hey, look, you are going to go. I'm going to get you out of here because I know a dirty judge. I'm going to get you out of here, and you are going to go find Boyd and find my money. And if Boyd doesn't know where my money is, you're going to kill him. And if Boyd does know where my money is, once he tells you where it is, you're going to kill him. So you're going to kill Boyd and get my money back. And unless you do it, in fact, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to kill Earl. And we learn that Boone's gun is named Jenny also, and Jenny's going to blow him a kiss if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. So they break Carl out and send him on his way to get the information out of Boyd and then kill him. While all that's going on, the marshals are investigating the aid station. They find that Ava and Zachariah have been there. They start to, they set up a perimeter. I always think of 24 when I hear Raylan say that in this episode.
That's right.
And they come to the conclusion that they've been there, but they're gone. And I wondered, they don't talk about this and they never show it. But again, I like the show exactly because they don't have to show everything. They don't have to tell us everything. They know their audience is smarter than that. I assume that they heard on the radio that the marshals and the locals were coming up the mountain to investigate the aid station. And as soon as they heard that, because remember, Zachariah in the early part of the episode said he brought a radio so that they would know they were coming before they knew they were coming.
Yeah.
And I assume that thanks to Zachariah's radio, they got early warning and were able to head out from the aid station to head up towards Groob's. Then we get this scene with Vasquez, Art, and Rachel. And Vasquez really lays it down for Art and Rachel about what's going on and how perilous this situation is for all of them and their careers. And I have a clip of that here, and then I have a couple comments, but I also have a question after we play this.
It's beyond bad, Chief. It's career-ending. Mine and yours. And you were the one who told me to put Raylan in the lead.
Why did you call us in here, Vasquez?
Where is he?
Where's who?
He's working the fugitive. As the closest deputy to the case, he is the most likely to find her.
Oh, Jesus, Art, seriously? I mean, really, seriously? God damn it, what did he promise you, a cut?
I'm gonna do you the goddamn common courtesy of pretending I didn't hear that shit come out of your mouth.
He was banging her in the past. He's almost certainly banging her now. His banging her in the past wrecked the criminal case back then. And then here we are again now. History repeating itself. And then he lets her shoot his, whatever the hell you want to call Boyd. That's convenient. And this marshal, whom we've defended on countless questionable shootings, well, he decides this time he's gonna holster his piece. And he's just gonna wave goodbye as she drives away. You take umbrage with me all you want, Chief Deputy Mullen. You give me that look like you want to choke me right now. But eventually, the both of you are gonna have to come to grips with the reality.
And in your version of reality?
Your marshal and his girlfriend have stolen $10 million right out from under our noses.
I mean, he's not wrong, right?
Oh, yeah.
From the outside, not knowing what we, the audience, know as kind of omniscient viewers, It certainly looks bad. Raylan was, in fact, banging Ava in the past, did, in fact, ruin a criminal case, has, in the past, been accused of being a little liberal with the use of the firearm, and does not choose to do it in this instance. I mean, these are bad facts.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what is the fallout from that, right? I mean, we see at the end of the episode, but I just think that it's been building. I mean, that's obvious, right? Even since the first season.
Yeah, Vasquez has had a hard-on for Raylan from day one, right? And this is not the first time he's accused Raylan of being in cahoots with Boyd. It's not the first time he's accused Raylan of being dirty. And, it's got to trigger for Art a few things when Vasquez starts talking like this, right? It's got to trigger the whole 200,000 Winona thing. It's got to make him think about that. It's got to make him think about the Nikki Augustine situation.
Yeah.
It's got to start triggering sort of Art's thinking like, holy crap, has he really been dirty this whole time and I'm falling for it?
No.
And I don't know if like Rachel and Tim necessarily believe it, but again, it's boy, enough smoke. It looks like there might be a little bit of fire behind it.
Yeah, I mean, you have like if you really think, you can't just be like ride or die, like I don't think. I mean, unless you really know somebody, but even then, how many people who've been convicted of murder, like I always talk to the guy. He never, he seemed like a regular
he was
dude,
always a nice boy.
Yeah, he was nice to me.
Well, and it's particularly profound or particularly commonplace in local law enforcement, right? Like, cop shoots an unarmed person. Obviously that person deserved it, right? It's not that the cop is bad or dirty or a murderer. It's that the criminal deserved it or the person deserved it. So that thin blue line thing. And Vasquez may have cracked it a little bit, but Raylan's about to get on a helicopter, in fact, when Art calls him and tells him, hey, you need to head back to the office. And he's very, very serious about it. And so Raylan takes him, agrees to it, and decides to head back to Lexington right up until the next thing happens. And we'll talk about
because
that.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. That's
and we'll talk about that in a moment here. But so there's this scene where the choppers are flying overhead and Ava and Zachariah are in the trees and she's holding a gun like it's a toy with her giant gloves on, like she's ever going to be able to shoot that. But I swear that the I don't know if it was a local or if it was a state police or who it was, said that the camera, one of the helicopters had a FLIR camera, the infrared camera.
Yeah.
You would think they would be able to see them through the trees with the infrared camera, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that I noted too, because that was the whole, like he set it up when he was like pitching to Raylan, hey, come on, ride on the helicopter. And, like, especially in that cold, they should if they had that infrared, they should have been able to spot
like
him easily.
A beacon, yeah. So that was a little odd. I thought that was a little unusual. Maybe there's an explanation for it, but it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, well, look, a level of incompetence, is pretty high, except for Raylan and Tim potentially. And so if Raylan and Tim are not on that chopper, maybe they're not going to see him. But it's a manhunt, right? I didn't buy it.
What was that?
I didn't buy it.
Yeah. It kind of, exactly. Is it? I don't know. Should we tear down the whole series because of that? No. But,
no, absolutely not. It's just it's a plot convenience. It's I
think that's fair.
Look. Again, lesser shows get away with a lot more plot convenience than this show does, for sure. And I did want to make a comment on the whole Raylan being dirty thing. Like, again, on a lesser show, that actually would have happened, right? Like we would have, in the next episode, we'd see, 4 minutes of flashbacks of Raylan saying and doing things that we had never seen before that, lead into him being a dirty cop or whatever. but very much not the case here.